So I picked up these Braun light fixtures from Harbor Freight, and I'm going to be installing these in my garage to increase the lighting. There's currently a lot of dim areas throughout the garage, and I'm hoping that this will fix my lighting issue. At the end of the video, you'll be able to see the drastic difference between the before and after lighting in the garage. So I bought 3 of these light fixtures from Harbor Freight, and they were $25 each. My original plan was to buy 8 of these because they are linkable and you can link up to 8 light fixtures together. So I went online and did some research, and it says that it's 5,500 lumens, and it's a 4-foot shop light, and it lasts for 30,000 hours. Here are some specifications on the screen if you would like to know more about this light. On the Harbor Freight website, you can see that it's got a lot of good reviews. It's got over 1,000 5-star reviews with only a handful of bad reviews. The most common bad review was that the light fixture would go out between 3 and 6 months. And that's when I decided that instead of buying 8, I would start out with 3 of these fixtures and see how they do. So the Braun light fixture was $25. I bought 3 of them. I've currently got that Hyper Tough there, which has worked great for the past 5 years. I've got a light fixture there that came with the house when we moved into it about a year ago, and the light bulbs have been out on it since we moved in. And I've got that light fixture there. So I'm going to space these out in the garage, try to get the best light that I can throughout the entire garage, and I'll let you know what I think about them at the end. So here I'm going to measure and find out exactly where I want these lights and mark them with a Sharpie on the ceiling. Then I'll measure from the wall to find out how far away the screw needs to be to start the light fixture out where I want it. So after a long time of fooling with my tape measure, I did some quick math, and here's how it went. So once I figured out exactly where I wanted it, I just checked to see where the studs were, marked it with my Sharpie. It was pretty easy to do because there were some ceiling mounted shelving units in the garage that are mounted to studs, as well as these hooks that are hanging from the ceiling. So I drilled a small little pilot hole for the anchor. This light fixture comes with an anchor and an eyelet that the mount attaches to. I realized that my hole was too small, so I had to get a bigger bit and drill it out again. Now I can finally screw the eyelet in so that I can mount the light fixture on one side, and I basically repeated this on the other side. So I detached the S-hook from the chain that came with the light fixture because I wanted the light fixture to be very close to the ceiling. I then just put the S-hook into the light fixture and crimped it so that it wouldn't fall off. Funny thing, actually, one of these did fall into the light fixture and I had to remove it, but it was pretty simple. It was just one small Phillips head screw on the side of the light fixture, and I was able to remove that S-hook pretty easily. Now you can see here how the S-hook will sit on the light fixture and not fall in, and it attaches to the eyelet that is screwed into the ceiling. So the way that I bent the S-hook made it really easy for me to just slide the light fixture hook onto the eyelets that were screwed into the ceiling. In the instructions for this specific light fixture, it states that it can easily fall off the ceiling and fall off of its mounting attachments that it comes with. So I decided to crimp everything once I got it up there. I crimped the S-hook to the eyelet and I crimped it to the light fixture as well. And then I went ahead and crimped the eyelet that was attached to the ceiling to the S-hook. So that way everything is closed and it won't fall, not very easily at least. You might be wondering why I use the anchors to mount the light fixture instead of using the stud that I found. And that's because I wanted the light fixture to be closer to the front of the garage. I ended up using the anchors that came with the light fixture mounting kit, and they worked just fine. So here you'll be able to see just how bright this light is. It is extremely bright. It lit up a large area of my garage space, and I actually tested the light off camera just to make sure it did work, and I did see kind of how bright it was going to be. And this light right in the middle of the side of my garage actually lit up the entire side of my garage, which was honestly better than what I expected. I knew I would have improvements with these lights, but they're definitely brighter than I anticipated, and they ended up working out really well. So I tucked all the cords in, kind of neat. I did notice while I was up here that these shop lights run kind of hot. Once I had all of them installed, it was definitely a little warmer in my garage than it was before. I could definitely feel the heat, but it wasn't bad. So you can see here kind of a comparison to my fluorescent light. The shop light from Harbor Freight definitely is a white light, which I like and I prefer over the yellow kind of fluorescent light. So you could just mount all of these lights the way I did the first one and have this project done really fast. But after looking at my garage and looking at the fluorescent light fixture, I decided that I was going to just remove that fluorescent light fixture over my workspace area and put a receptacle instead. And that way I can just plug the shop lights into the ceiling where I wanted it. This light fixture was kind of in the way of where I wanted the shop light to be. And with having all the shop lights on this side of the garage wired into that receptacle, it will allow them all to turn on and off with the garage light switch. And I figured that would be a lot more convenient than having the pull string on each one, and also less likely that they'll fall down. And I can also turn them off individually. Removing the light fixture was really easy. First I turned the power off to the garage lights. Now luckily my other shop light is connected to a receptacle, which is on a different circuit than the light fixtures, which that's usually the case. And I also used one of the Braun shop lights on the ground with an extension cord pointing up to the ceiling so that I could see what I was doing. So I measured out an electrical box, cut the hole out of the ceiling, and then trimmed the wires so that I can attach this receptacle. So I'll tell you now, I'm not a licensed electrician, but I've done quite a few receptacles at previous places I've lived at, and then growing up with my dad, he always made me do projects like this around the house with him. So I've got a little bit of experience. I'll say these ratcheting screwdrivers are amazing. If you don't have one, you should get one. And then also the blue handled needle nose pliers that I've been using in this video. I actually got those from my very first toolbox when I was about 5 years old, and somehow they've just been traveling with me ever since. So here's a preview of what the garage looked like after all 3 lights were installed. Only 2 of them are on here. I decided to clean the garage next. Alright, so here's what the garage looks like with these lights installed. I installed 3 of them. I also relocated these 2 hanging organizing shelves over to that wall. Yes, Grayson. Yes, Grayson. So the lighting is much, much better than it was. This is all stuff that I've got to go through. That's all decoration stuff that my wife needs to go through. Then I've got all my clamps hung up back there and some yard equipment.
Daddy?
Yes, Grayson. So the rest of this video, I'm just kind of going through my garage, looking in the cabinets. They're kind of organized a little bit, and I can actually see what I'm doing now. So I would say overall, these Braun shop lights, they are great. They're fantastic. The only downside I could see is if they went out in the next 3 to 6 months, and also that they run a little bit hot once they've been on for a while. They're warmer than other LED lights that I've had and used before. I'll say the Walmart work light, the Hypertough brand that I had gotten and that I have been using for the last 5 years, it has lasted a long time, and it's been on, I would say it was on for probably 2 years straight without ever being turned off, and it still works today. So if these Braun shop lights last anywhere near as long as the Hypertough, I'll be happy, I'll be satisfied. And if they do go out, well, they're pretty cheap. I can just go replace them. I do plan on installing a couple more in some spaces that are not as covered by the light. I really want to get above the garage door, and I want one right above my middle cabinets. And I did not end up linking any of these shop lights together, but I do plan on doing that as I add more to the space. Alright, so here's a picture-in-picture view of what my garage looked like before, with the 1 shop light and the 1 light fixture and the 2 garage door lights on, versus the new Braun shop lights that I installed. You can tell that it is significantly brighter. Also, moving the 2 hanging shelves over to this wall has really opened up a lot of the space and allowed the light to shine down more clearly in my work area of the garage. So I'm really glad that I did that. Overall, I'm very satisfied with these shop lights from Harbor Freight. I definitely recommend them if you need something to light up your space. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Using this across the entire garage or not?
Daddy! Daddy!
Yes, Bubba.
Oh,